Okay, so good morning, everybody, and welcome to the May 2022 Missouri Evergreen Cataloging Meeting. Um, we have a pretty kind of a brief agenda this month, but some helpful information regarding some of the changes with 3.8, as well as trying to cover again some of those monthly cataloging reports that we'll get to. So first here on our agenda, I wanted to give everyone a brief reminder that our regional cataloging trainings are still occurring. So far, we've had three. We've had one in Sykeston, our training at Heartland Regional Library, as well as one in Polk County Library. And so far, it sounds like those have gone really well. I've heard some great feedback. I think, Greg might be able to speak to a little bit more, but so far those have gone really well.
Can't hear them.
I felt that they went really well. I've gotten nothing but positive feedback on it, and the people that are attending are able, or have been at least, submitting their certifications a lot quicker because I think they get a little bit more confident with what they're doing and how they're doing it. I'm always looking for ways to make it better, so if anybody has any feedback for me regarding those sessions, that's good. I haven't checked recently, but last week when I looked, there wasn't anybody signed up for Scenic Regional yet. So hopefully that will change as well. Other than that, things seem to be going right along the way we expected them to. Everybody's doing a great job. Keep it up.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Greg, for jumping in there and sharing your experiences so far. Like Greg mentioned, there hasn't been anybody signing up for the Scenic Regional one, which is on June 9th. So if that might work better than maybe the Livingston or, well, complete opposite side of the state, never mind. But anyway, if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me regarding the June 9th one. Like I said, so far they've been pretty great. So beyond that, like Greg mentioned, people have been really turning in those certifications pretty quickly afterwards. So far, we have a total of 42 basic certifications finished and 27 advanced certifications. So nice work, everybody, and we hope to see more of those roll through in the coming months. Now moving on to our cataloging bugs. Since the update to 3.8 on the 20th of April, I know a lot of you have probably been experiencing little goofy things with either the holdings editor or templates or alerts. I know we've seen a lot of those things come up in the listserv. Thankfully, Jennifer Weston at Equinox has provided us with a comprehensive list of the bugs that are being monitored that are associated with version 3.8. And a lot of them are to do with the things that we've mentioned so far. So I know two of the big ones that were mentioned here at the top involve the holdings editor. So I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but if you're working through the holdings editor page and trying to create new templates, you might run into some difficulties. So let me see here. Oops. I was going to bring that up, but essentially the gist of that is there are some workarounds to that, but unfortunately I don't think that has been completely resolved. So if you are trying to add a new template, there are some workarounds. So for example, there is this standalone holdings editor, and what they mean by that is there is an option if you go to Evergreen, of course, and under administration, go to local administration. And then from there, you'll want to select this holdings template editor. And then you can, this again, looks like the old holding template editor, or pretty much the old item editor or holding editor, where you can just go and select the things you want that, it's gonna circulate, your shelving location, the status you want it to be at. And then of course you can give it a name. From there, you can hit save. And it's going to save that setting as a new template, as a new holding template. However, it might not be visible at first once you actually go to edit an item. And that is, again, another bug.
I plugged it in.
And that is listed in the bug listed or mentioned here, that new holdings don't automatically display in the holdings editor. And to fix that, as I mentioned here, um, yeah, as I mentioned here on the standalone holdings editor, it that you will need to log out and log back in before that template appears in the holding editor. So it's not immediate. It's not the most ideal workaround, but it gets the job done if we need to add holdings during this time. So just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of those sorts of issues. Um, I'm going to send this document out uh, with the notes after the meeting and the recording so that you all will have access to this and be able to go directly to those bugs, and you can kind of stay up to date on what those are and what's going on with each of those. But yeah, like I said, there's a number of other things going on. I think initially we had some issues with being able to retrieve our existing item templates, but that was fixed. So here you can see the status of those bugs and what's going on. Additionally, I think some people were having some issues with not being able to see all of their shelving locations when they went in to edit items. I believe a patch was applied last week to fix that. So hopefully that's cleared up for everyone who's experiencing that. And then beyond that, there's a couple different bugs that talk about things with like item alerts, item notes, I think, some StatCat issues. So pretty much any of those additional features might be a little goofy right now. And a lot of those are acknowledged here in this document and on the website that keeps and tracks those bugs. So like I said, I'll share this with everybody so that you can kind of, if you run into any issues, you can kind of go back to this and see, oh, this is a known bug. And currently there's not a fix. But if you do need any further assistance with something and you're not sure if it's a existing bug, you can reach out to the listserv. Reach out to Equinox, of course, is going to probably get you a really fast answer, especially if it is a known bug. So like I said, I will be sharing this with everybody in the listserv with the notes and the recording. Okay. And then the sort of training portion that I wanted to cover today is I wanted to talk more about our monthly cataloging reports. These have gone through a little bit of change recently, and I know I think when we even went to the new version 3.8, it was briefly unavailable. But all of our reports are now going to be accessible on MissouriEvergreen.org/special_reports, which I have linked here. And sometimes I know when I access it, it'll kind of think for a second and look like it's not accessible, but then open up. And if you aren't already logged into Evergreen, it will pop up a little window asking for your credentials. Again, that's just your normal Evergreen credentials. I don't think you have to have any special permissions to be able to access these reports. Okay, so at the bottom here, there are some reports that we don't really have, doesn't really require any work review. These are just more informational. So you'll see like this patron barcode ranges and these item barcode ranges. These are just more, like I said, informational for anyone who wants to know about the existing ranges for reporting purposes. If it has to do with RFID, I think that's where we have some of those reports available to us. At the very top of the list here is our DVD records and our parts reports. I know that this has gone through a couple different iterations, but the gist of that report is going to show all the DVDs that exist within Evergreen. So I'm going to go ahead and just open that up. Now this one we've covered it in past meetings, and it does require a little bit more work. Because it's so large, it does come in a zip file. So I should be able to click on that once I've downloaded it, and I should be able to access that file. If not, you can always look for it in your downloads folder, and then you might have to like double click on it or ask for it to be extracted. So like if I find it here, Windows makes it pretty easy where you can just double click on it, but I know sometimes some people have had other issues with it. But anyway, once we get to the actual report, like I said, it's a lengthy list because it should be all of our DVD records, and it should be listing the information from the 300 so that we can see how many discs are a part of that. It should show barcodes, the TCN, which is that bib ID here, and we can see information for the copy associated with that item. So what we can do from here is we can sort that out so you're looking just at your own library's things. I like to do that just by selecting all of the columns here. And I'm just going to go up and select this filter option on the
Hey,
top
Nate,
right.
your display is not showing to us.
At all?
No, well, we're just seeing the old page where you click the original link.
Okay, my apologies. Thank you. Okay, how about now? That working?
Not yet. There we go.
Okay, thank you. My apologies. So once we've opened up the file, you know, it'll be accessible in Excel or any other sort of spreadsheet software. I like to select the top columns, and then I will go up to the top right hand side where there's a sort and filter option and select this filter. This applies a filter to each and every row, or I mean column, my apologies. Each and every column where I can select from the copy owning library to look at just those things from my library. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to trails. Concordia. We have a number of locations. And so now we're just at trails items. And here we have things that just have one video disc. I'm going to be interested in looking at things that have more than one video disc because those are the things that are going to require us to have a part on them. So I'm going to select this drop-down menu from that filter I created, and I'm actually going to use this sort A to Z or sort Z to A because I'm going to want to see the things that have more than one at the top. So I'll sort through that. And actually, we got some things on here that don't have a number at all. So, which would mean that I'd probably have to go to those records, look at it, and double check on those items. Because there are part labels existing, I'm going to assume that those were added correctly at the time and that those are good to go. So to make this easier on ourselves, I'm going to narrow this down further by filtering out those things that do have existing part labels on them. So I just look at the things that don't. So under the part label column, I'm going to unselect everything and just find those blanks at the bottom. So here we go. Now we can see here I have a number of things that have 6 video discs, but no part label. So I would have to essentially take that bib ID, go to that record, review it, and make sure that I have the correct part labels attached to that, or any part label, honestly. Yeah, and so I should be able to do that for each of my, going down the list until I am back to the items that just have one. And it looks like my list has grown recently. So yeah, and that's the gist of that. Again, it's a little bit more complicated. There was a guide that was sent out when this report was initially generated. And we can, actually, I don't know if that is up on the website. And if it is not, we can certainly get that there. Just gonna double check. No, I don't think it is. So
I'm almost positive it is on the reports one though.
Oh, is it on the reports page?
Yeah.
That would make sense.
But it does make sense to have it both places, really.
Right.
If
So we
someone
can
needs to find it.
Yeah, we can get that update. But yeah, there's actually lots of wonderful resources on the reports page. So if you have questions about those, definitely check it out. Anyway, so that was the DVD records and parts report in a nutshell. Maybe a little bit easier to discuss. We have our items on deleted bibs. That report is just going to show us items that are somehow still existing on a deleted bib record. You'll want to open that up and go through and sort out the items that are specific to your library. So for example, hoping everyone can see that now, I think every time I go to Excel, I have to shift the share. But on this one, you should be able to see, of course, the item, the barcode, the bib record. So if you happen to have any on this really short list, it should be a quick fix of going to that bib record, identifying your item, and either importing a new record to move it onto, or identifying a record that already is existing and moving that over. I do have some other ones and the moving and the transferring, all that stuff is covered in a lot of our documentation and a lot of the certification course itself. So I'm not going to jump into the specifics of that right now, but just going to cover some of these reports individually. Items on electronic bibs is going to be a similar thing. It is a list of individual barcodes and their TCNs that are going to show you which items are attached onto a record that has an ebook icon or has a e-audiobook icon or something that's going to indicate that it's an electronic resource. So with those, actually, is it even sharing the right thing? Okay. So with those, we're going to want to do a similar thing, download that list, sort it out so you're looking at the items that are just your own. And then for each of those items, we might want to, actually, I think to demonstrate that, I'm going to find an example. We were either going to want to update the record so that it's properly reflecting the item in hand, or we are going to want to find a new record for that item. Because in general, we shouldn't be having records for electronic resources in the catalog unless it is for a local item. Like for a specific local collection, or I know we've had some local digitization projects where things might be recorded in a local database or on a CD. And I know that sometimes we have some small exceptions there. So just as an example, I'm gonna grab this Tonight on the Titanic. I'm gonna grab that barcode, and I'm gonna go to Evergreen. Oh, I went to the wrong place. I copied the barcode, and so I'm going to be able to, would have been easier if I had selected the TCN. I often work from item status. So anyway, I'm going to go to the bib record there. And here we'll be able to see there's an item that's attached to this Tonight on the Titanic ebook record. So again, there's a number of ways that we could correct this. We could go into the MARC record and see what we could do to adjust the record to make it applicable to this. It does have a number of all the ISBNs on here are for the electronic book, and the 300 and the 33Xs make it all appear like this is for an online digital resource. So it might even be easier just to go to Z39, import a new record, and then transfer this one over. Because essentially what you'd have to do is make a bunch of changes to this existing record to make it fit for that physical copy. So again, it might just be easier to import something new and transfer this over. And so in those cases, there's again, not as lengthy as some of the other ones, but that's kind of the gist of it. There are going to be physical items on records that look like they're for electronic resources, and you'll either have to adjust the record or move it onto a record for something that already exists. We also have one for mismatched audiobooks. This is going to be listing out our items that would indicate that they are, either through the call number or through the other information on there, like the circ mod. It's going to indicate that this is an audiobook item and that it might be on a record for something that is not an audiobook. So if we open up that record or open up that report, oh, I'm still on the electronic bibs one. Oops. Okay. I think I've got it going. Okay, so here we have the audiobook record, the mismatched audiobook. So again, on here, we're going to see a number of items. By their call numbers, of course, we can see that a lot of these are CDs. There's one up here that just has J Berry, so that one actually might not be a CD. But being able to go through this list, I think the other important thing to say about some of these is sometimes the system might be a little confused. These are reports, and so they do have to follow a certain number of criteria. And sometimes those criteria might not match exactly how your library labels things. And if that's the case, we might have to just reach out to Equinox to see if they can update the criteria for that search, that report, so that it's not pulling all these things unnecessarily. So it depends on the item, but that has come up a few times, and each and every time we just send that on to Equinox, and they've been able to help us out and sort of make sure that those things don't repeatedly come up on the reports. So I'm going to go ahead and pull one of these ones here. I'm going to grab the TCN. And if we go to the record for that, we'll see that this is title called Love and the Cactus Kid Medicine Ground. However, it doesn't have an icon at all, which is probably the issue here. So what we could do again is, if there was a record for this, one might want to actually do that ahead of just editing this record. There might be a record existing that would be better just to merge them or to move your item over. But if there was not, and you did not want to mess with importing anything new or overlaying, one could just go into the Mark Edit page here and make sure that that is all up to date. So because there's no icon, that means it is probably missing some important characteristics that would identify this record as a just a CD audiobook. So looking through here, we're going to look at the type that is listed as I, which as you can see here is our audiobooks. The other big thing that kind of informs Evergreen about the icon that should appear, especially for media, is going to be the 007. There does not appear to be a 007 at all. So what we can do is we can right click into any of those fields, and then you'll see an option that says add 007. So I go ahead and click on that. If you happen to know the string of letters that is necessary to identify a CD audiobook, you can type it in there. Alternatively, there is a little wizard that lets you go through the steps and identify the different characteristics. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up by clicking on this box on the right. And it'll just walk you through. So, category of material. This is a sound recording. It is on a sound disc. It plays at 1.4 meters per second, which I think is the standard one for CDs, digital discs. And then as it gets a little bit more specified, we get a lot of these unknowns or things that are not applicable, like groove, width, or pitch. Yeah, that's not applicable to an optical disc. They don't have the dimensions for oh, there it is. Just kidding. 4 3/4 inch is what a standard CD is. So for the most part, it's gonna, if it starts with SD, FUNG, it is going to produce the CD audiobook icon, which is what we're looking for. So we can just go through the rest. A lot of this, again, is not applicable or unknown. And so once we're done with that, you can hit the apply button, and it'll store the code in there for you, so you don't have to type it out specifically. And then of course you'll want to add your 040, saying that you changed the record, and we'll save our changes. And then once it's refreshed, you'll see that that CD audiobook icon is now there. So now when that report is run again, it's going to recognize, hey, the CD audiobook icon's there. The item would generally have the call number or circ mod to identify it as a CD audiobook. Those match, so it's good to go. And so the item should no longer appear on our reports in the future. And then similarly, we can move on with the other sorts of reports. We have mismatched DVDs. Again, that's going to rely heavily on making sure we have the correct information in the 007. All that information for the exact codes can be found in our training materials. We do have 2 large print ones, and I'm not quite sure why we have two reports for large print. But again, you should be able to sort through that. I think this one does have more issues with false positives, specifically with any author or any sort of call number that's going to include LG. So if there's an author's last name that's ALG yada yada, that's going to go up on your call number, and it's going to misidentify that potentially as large type. Or if LP is in the name anywhere, it might misidentify that as large print. So just know that those ones might have a more common issues with false positives. Similarly, we have, again, more reports that go on to do the same thing for mismatched music, mismatched VHS, and mismatched videos. I think, gosh, which one was it? I think mismatched videos was the one that primarily had just items with no icons at all. So those ones are primarily going to be those things where you're going to have to go in and for sure add those 007s or identifying another record to transfer things over or merge. So again, I could go through each one of these and show how to, how to merge things or move things over, but that is the high overview of what each of these reports is and how we can sort through those and use those to improve the catalog. Does anybody have any questions about the contents of any of these reports or how to do anything specific?
Nate, would you say that the owning library for these items, that's what they should be attending to first and foremost?
So are you saying, is there a specific report that they should be addressing first? Or if I understand you, I guess now that I'm hearing it and thinking through it more completely, are the individual libraries, gosh, it's such a Monday. That I pretty much am trying to get to the point that I don't think others can do much with the lists beyond their own items. I mean, there are some things that we can do where we can help. If the call number and the information for the item would indicate that it's certainly a music CD or something of that effect, we could go through and help others, work through and update the icons or merge things. But again, especially with like some of the large print items or DVDs, I might caution people to be careful about moving things around or merging things, because what can happen, of course, if it has a call number that's just like media or videos, we don't know if that's Blu-ray, we don't know if that's DVD, so I don't know if we can really reliably go through and always merge things together. But especially for things like the electronic bibs or items on deleted bibs or just something that needs an 007, if somebody has the extra capacity or bandwidth to go in and help with some of those lists, that would be, could be very beneficial to everybody. But for the most part, yeah, I think each owning library should be looking at their own lists and try to take care of that, or those things that are identified as a barcode belonging to their own library. Any other questions about that? Okay. Well, if there are any questions, or does anybody have any other topics that they would like to bring up to the group, or any questions that they would like to bring up at the, at the moment?
Nate, this is Carol at Cuba, and I had sent this to Greg, and I just kind of throw it out to you all. When we're printing our pull list for holds,
Hmm.
the current item, which is the barcode, is not printing, whether I do a full grid or whether I download it to an Excel file that I can manipulate.
Oh,
Can anybody suggest to me what might be going wrong there?
hmm. So you're saying on the pull list for hold requests,
Yes,
you're going in here, and even if you do the option
right.
on the drop down menu, print full grid doesn't work.
Well, it prints, but the thing that says current item, that's actually the barcode. And so, for example, if I have several seasons of the DVD Weeds,
Mhm.
my call number is going to be DVDF WEE. I'm not going to know which one that is without that barcode number.
Okay, so
Not
it sounds like it's misidentifying the information when it prints. Is that
right.
right?
That current item, when I print it, either if I do a print full grid or I just download it, when I try to print, I can't get that. I thought maybe it was because it was in blue, so I was changing, the colors and
Mhm.
that kind of, but it's still not showing up for me.
I just downloaded it myself, and I'm gonna see. Huh. Well, current item isn't showing it. Mine's just completely empty when I
And
downloaded
that
it.
and that's kind of what I'm running into as well.
Hmm. So that I did by downloading the full CSV. Now, if I do print full grid, what's it gonna say?
It's
Yeah, it
teeny
just
tiny.
it is teeny tiny, but from what I can see here, it's doing the same thing. It's empty. So the column for current item does not seem to be displaying um, upon printing. So yeah, that I can see that that's difficult because you can't really verify the barcode number.
And
Is
it was in previous versions.
right,
Printing.
right. Is the if you use the CN full label, that call number full label, was that working for you? Was that
Yes,
displayed?
that displays, but like I said, the problem I have is, for example, if I have several seasons of the DVD Weeds, our call number is DVDFWEE. I don't know which one of those, obviously without description,
Okay. Yeah,
that
no,
I'm,
I see the
yeah.
huh. And and if those are all, I guess would those have a well, if they're all complete set, if they're all disc one, I guess it's you still don't know which season.
Yeah, because
Uh,
we don't pull ours out. We leave them in complete sets.
yeah, but yeah, even if it was season one or season two, they would all still be complete set. Um, huh. And so, do you have the title showing? Because the title on most of those, the title should include the season.
Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, so that's just a yeah record quality thing that we would have to look into. But huh. Okay, yeah, I haven't heard that yet, and I don't work much with the circulation side of those things, so I hadn't experienced that. Yeah, we can look and see if that is a known bug or what, and follow up with that.
I appreciate it. It for me because I have new people coming on all the time having that barcode. If you have one author, for example, like a Nora Roberts or the Quinn, when you have so many of their books, it's really helpful to tell them to do a quick double check of the barcode before they pull the book.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. So yeah, I think Kate even suggested that we might want to throw that out to the Circ listserv since they might have already addressed this or they might have some ideas about a good workaround. So I'll look into that too and see if we can get somebody else's eyes on this too to help us out.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Does anybody else have any questions or topics we want to discuss today? If not, our next meeting will be June 13th at 11 a.m. So yeah, I don't see any more questions. So thank you all for joining today, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Nate.
Bye, everyone.